No, maybe. Yep. No, that was a bad start. Sorry about that, Daniel. He's gonna be pissed. Maybe not. Who knows? I wasn't sure if this really started yet or not. So there's a little bit of confusion right off the bat, which is gonna have Daniel angry. Yeah, I just reheard how it started off, so that's good that we're starting off like that. I am Tim. Daniel hates me most of the time when he's not here. He's not particularly nice whenever he is here. If you haven't listened to the show before, Daniel's mostly his whole character is just be mean to Tim, and then Zach just goes, "Well, that's not really nice." So Zach at least defends with me, but I'll start off everything just to give myself a little bit of time because that's mostly what I like to do is ramble about stuff. So if that's at all entertaining, you'll like this. I don't particularly like how Daniel really labels the episode right off the bat as another Tim episode, so that he doesn't give me like a normal title. He gives me very much one. He's like, I'm warning everybody, this is what I'm giving you. I mean, it's not, it's definitely not the best. I'm not going to argue for that because you guys are helping me learn. Maybe, who knows? Somebody said this is a better way to sell it. You guys are helping me learn. We're on a journey together, and we're trying to make it to the point where I guess, and I wonder if in our lifetime we'll get to this point. I'll kind of just let myself go off on random shit. I think we will in my lifetime. I guess saying to like 80, so like close to, or at least halfway through this century. I think we'll get to the point where we have a lot less jobs. Just the way I think, at least not a lot less jobs, because I'm not fully on board with the whole thing that if you get rid of a certain industry, those people can't find something else to do and they're fine and it creates other businesses. Um, and I should preface this all by saying actually that this I'm gonna completely hijack this probably from my own, but this is the You Me and BTC podcast. We do a live show every week. If you're here, it's Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can get in the chat, say something at me. Daniel didn't really give me any show notes. Not that, well, yeah, I'm gonna probably just use most of this just to complain at him, because again, that's probably most of what I'm only good at is just making bitching comments. Um, so I'm gonna be pretty much just going off on different stuff today. Not too many links. I don't know if anybody even looks at those links. We normally post them. I'm not sure if anybody really pays attention to those, but you don't get them today. I'm just gonna kind of go from one thing to another. Um, he'll probably throw the show notes in later because he'll listen to it and be like, "You were fucking terrible. Why'd you say that?" So that'll be cool. But if you are just joining us, I am Tim Baker. I'm normally here with Daniel Brown and Zach Bull. I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix something on the side of my microphone right now. Um, this is supposed to be Bitcoin. Sometimes we stray into more like libertarian stuff and bullshit like that. Daniel and I'll especially do that. Zach will sometimes too, but Zach is also trying to get a job where he needs to like respect the system. Like Daniel and I are at this point just committed to complaining about things and just trying to stay away. But Zach actually cares about his future somewhat, so he's doing the correct thing. Like I always say, just if you want to get someplace in like a public sphere or something where you're dealing with public people, just grovel and you'll be good. But anyway, we normally do this show every Thursday. Daniel and I have been doing it for a while. Zach started like a year ago. I'm not quite sure why I'm doing the history for this. I haven't drank for a while. I'm slightly fucked up a little bit. I'm celebrating because that's the whole thing I kind of want to build this episode around is Bitcoin going back up. I was reading a story, which I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. But yeah, okay, I'll talk about this so we actually get into Bitcoin. But if you're listening, if you just visit us, if you're listening to this later and you want to know how to get to it's youmeanbtc.com/live, you can get the chat there. You can also get the chat, I believe, on, yeah, just go youmeanbtc.com/live. You can get the chat there. Sometimes we'll have a poll. I'm not so much for those. I don't particularly like the polls, especially because Daniel normally likes to make a bad joke at the end of them. But I guess some people enjoy them. We can have polls in the chat. If you come in the chat, we'll do like off they're not going to be represented ever again. The polls we have, they're going to be disappearing like invisible ink or some shit. But I was reading an article about, which is very, very, I don't want to say it's infrequent. Like I'll just read like random things that aren't particularly useful. Like I went on like a Rothbard where I was just listening to a bunch of it's videos from like the 70s, and I'm like, this can't be useful, but it's entertaining at least. Uh but this one is about, there's a fuck, which one did I do? Where did I go with it? Okay, it was saying how Bitcoin's jumped up so much. And one thing I do have to mention about this is I'm not going to kind of shit on people for being happy. Sometimes I do that. But no, I like this. It's nice. And then whenever you tell people it went up, they're like, "Oh, what? But like $5?" And you're like, "No, I mean, it went up a decent amount more than that." But the article's about how this has hurt short sellers. The way it's from AMB crypto. Actually, I'll just throw it in the chat. So then maybe, wait, I can't do links in the chat. Never mind. Regardless, you don't need to read it because I'm helping you. This is what I'm doing. I'm like, the whole point of this podcast to me is trying to break the whole ad revenue industry. Like I want to get rid of it. So I'll just do podcasts where I just look at stuff for people. So they only get paid by me. And then you have to donate to help me subsidize the costs. But it's mentioning, and it's over this. Recently, Bitcoin breached the $7,000 mark after being in the bear market for a long time. The resulting bull run saw a rise of 10% and increasing the market cap by 20 million, which sounds, it is a lot, but at the same time, it's not crazy. Like we've seen, and I don't like, it does seem almost dumb. And I've made this up before, and I always feel like I'm going to be stupid, and I'm going to look back on every time I say this and be like, you were an idiot. Why did you ever believe that? Because it does almost seem like Bitcoin goes in these cycles. Like it's not predictable, because if I say it's predictable, then I'll hate myself even more for not having more of it. But it's like, it has this meteoric rise, drops back down to the point where it doesn't normally drop below what it was. I guess it's only happened whenever I've noticed it like two or three times. I'm not quite sure. I think I came in right before a drop happened at like $20 down to like 2 or something. And it's like, for like that many years, which I guess has been 6 years at least, maybe no, probably like 5 years at least, maybe 6 years at the most. And the entire time I've just had people going, yeah, it's just a bubble though. It's like, okay. It's like, I get that. I understand that it's a bubble, but at the same time, so I mean, it's a new technology, so why not at least just get in? Like, if it's so obviously a bubble, then you should be able to pick whenever that bubble is going to burst. Like, you can see warning signs just as well as the rest of us. Just have it, just, it's a risk, but then just have it in a good position where you can sell it immediately as soon as you see or hear something bad, which is going to be hard because people make their living off of that. But if it is a bubble, if it is just this kind of dumb thing, which I get that it is, and I get that it is, but everything new is something stupid. Everything new is something that people look at as, this is gonna, because it will. I don't want to get on the whole thing. Like, it might not be Bitcoin, but the whole idea of this does actually change things, and that's the whole reason why I don't just hate this podcast, because it's not to shit on them, because I listen on them, but it's not a comedy podcast. It's not a like a video game podcast or a movie podcast. But for me to want to do something with other people, like by myself, I can just rant about stuff. But for me to want to like actually talk about people or talk to people and make the same points, like at this point dozens of times, just because they come up again, is because I do feel like at least putting out a positive representation of it, or we're probably I mean, that's probably being a little bit generous to us as far as being a positive representation between the three of us. They're the two of them are probably better, but putting out a positive representation of things and of cryptocurrency so that like there's no reason to stigmatize it. Like there's comparatively, I guess I should say, like yes, in a perfect world, you could be like, yeah, no, it's kind of up and down, and it's kind of dangerous, and people can use it for dangerous things, and people don't have to pay. Like you can say all these different things about how it's a dangerous thing, but in a not perfect world, the especially in the world we're living in, maybe I mean it was different like thousands of years ago. So having an ability to have individual money on that kind of a level didn't exist until Bitcoin came. Like you could have something like the Liberty Dollar or whatever Liberty, yeah, I think that's what they were called, but the guy got arrested. But that's still like a mint. That's still you're using somebody else's created currency, somebody else's scheme, which you are with Bitcoin, but so are they. Like, I guess this all does hinge, and if he ever does, if something ever does come to light as to what Satoshi is, I'll probably have to eat the words. But there isn't so much of a like if it is one guy who controls it, you could say he just did what the guy with the Liberty Dollar or something like that would have done, where he just hoarded the currency that he put out. But because of the whole thing about it being secret, and because of how um, he can't be tracked, like the accounts can be tracked for Satoshi. So I guess actually my point's probably bullshit because I was going to say that it wouldn't affect the monetary. It wouldn't affect like say the guy who ran the Liberty Dollar started selling a bunch of stuff off. That would affect them more because he's public. That's exactly what can happen with Satoshi. So never mind. Um, I guess I'll break down my point more then is just that it's not a perfect solution. It's not perfect at all, but it's at least so far demonstrably better and better by a lot than depending on like a war state basically, because that's what most like bigger countries are now. Most bigger countries, I don't know this, but the way that news looks and just things I've heard, like it could all be bullshit, but it seems like most of these countries just make money on, I mean, at least the US on just like selling weapons and stuff like that. So if you have money tied to that, if you're going to have a moral issue, and this is my problem with a lot of people who don't like Bitcoin, like money and taking money out of the hands of a government, like regardless of whatever it is is an actual actionable way to protest, not just to protest, but like if you actually have an issue with what somebody's doing, say, because we it's like we all have this issue, we all have one issue with the government, whether you're on the left or the right or a libertarian or socialist. Everybody has that one thing where you're like, I don't like a lot of people say we should pay taxes, but a lot of people then go, yeah, but I don't want to have to pay for whatever. That's exactly what to put it in Bitcoin. Then do it if you can off market. Do it like if you have to, like if you actually have a problem with the way whatever country you have is running things, then you shouldn't like why keep your money in that kind of uh in that environment. Like I get that it doesn't matter, and it's not like you just doing that is going to actually stop them from doing the things that they do, and um things like that. But if you're going to make a point about even like protesting about stuff, you can at least, and it's not even hard to just take your money out of things. And I don't really care about what your particular issue is, but if you are actually against something and you're actually think it's bad and think that the government shouldn't give money to it, then don't like attack the government, because that's not going to go well. Don't like the guy who flew the plane into the IRS wasn't like that wasn't good for him. He's fucking dead, which I get is what he wanted probably, but you could just put your money in Bitcoin, bro. Like don't like save the plane from like he probably was a cool dude, maybe. I don't know. Because it's somewhere along the line like either like like a kick-ass story and this guy just being like whatever, I'm crazy. Like it could be one of those two things and you don't know. Actually people probably do know, and there's probably all these stories, I just haven't read them. But going all the way back, um the way that Bitcoin has jumped up has been a problem for Bitcoin, like the short traders, Bitcoin traders who are, they say in this article, and this is mostly what spiked my interest about this, was that they referred to short sellers. Sorry, I'll just quote it. The short sellers of the cryptocurrency market refer to those investors whose profit when the market is going down and is in the bear's grip. What I hate. I don't know. Just something about financial writing just bothers me sometimes. Quote again: the short sellers sell borrowed cryptocurrency when the value is high, and buy the cryptocurrency when the price is declined. They're thereby replacing the borrowed money and profiting off the dip. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of why we like Bitcoin. Is it isn't. I mean, it's like we could like the dollar if the dollar wasn't kind of just flooded as free credit into things. And although I guess that's the problem, is people are just borrowing dollars and then just buying Bitcoin afterwards. Um, like I don't know. Like I don't want to be happy, I guess, that people are just losing money for trying to make money that way, because I don't see anything particularly wrong with it. Um, that's like they drive a lot of what's behind it. The same way that we don't want to admit that, I guess most people do now, but we don't want to admit that Bitcoin, like one of the biggest reasons for it going how big it did so quickly, was because of the Silk Road, was because of uh, everything that they said Ross Ulbricht did, which we've talked about ad nauseum on here before. And they like everything that happened was like maybe it would have happened, maybe it would have happened another way. Uh, but that was a pretty big thing, was just people selling meth on the internet. Like that. And I think I tried to make this point last week and Daniel kept on like rephrasing it, but I think that's what I'm meaning when a lot of these things that we look at as bad, like scammers and grifters, and like, because there is a new form of both of those things. Like normally, like 20 years ago, that would have meant people like on the street doing that to you, or over like 20 years ago, that could be, yeah, email. That's weird to think about. I didn't think that email was that old, or that new, I guess. But like you could get scammed over that. Now like most scams are just over the internet. Most scams are just over. So you can look at the internet as being bad, just as bad as Bitcoin is, because I mean the app, there's a very apt comparison of Bitcoin's the internet of money, all that stuff, where it sounds kind of cheesy at first, and then you're like, no, it does it. Well, it's, I still like email cache, or like encrypted email cache, as a way to, I don't know why I'm telling you the way to explain it, doesn't matter. But I think that we shouldn't get too happy just because like short sellers are losing out, because I think they definitely do contribute some, like they're part of the ecosystem. We can't, at least hear this out, see if this makes sense, because I think it does, where you can't fuck with the ecosystem. Like we always think, oh, we'll make it better, but that's exactly what like humans do to ecosystems, where people just wander into some place. I'm not saying this is bad. necessarily. I think it's bad to like. I don't like it, but that's because I like maybe like too much, and especially again because I've um I admire, I guess, individuality more than like a group loyalty, where that's not necessarily good for like this world, just because so much of, I mean, so much of it is just kind of like a group thing, which is fine and that's good. There's probably like reasons why I'm not, but I think that like each little part of something does contribute something. Maybe it's stability, maybe it's just, maybe it's the things that like just at least keep it running. Like I don't know, but I just know that I kind of like how things are going now. It, like I was saying, it seems almost like there's a pattern at this point, and if we can keep that going, and I don't say we like I'm doing as much as nearly as most people. Um, but if that continues like that, like that's fine. But let's just run it like that. Let's. I mean, I get that you still have to kind of kowtow a little bit to corporate interests to get more people involved with it, but I don't think we have to do that much. Like there's a lot of people, because it's hard. That it's the whole reason why governments have loved inflation, is because you don't have to up the taxes when inflation gets so bad in any country. And this is whenever people start to notice it. Inflation gets so bad that people go, "Wait, I remember now a year ago when this was like this new price is tripled at this point or quadrupled," and we go, "No, that's probably not a good idea." Like if as long as it's over 5 years, people are like, "Ah, yeah, it just happens." Like, but once you get to Venezuela or like Germany in the 20s, right, or in the 30s, I'm not quite sure. I don't have any chat here, which would be nice to have people show, so I can just have people tell me dumb facts and I'll just repeat them. Um, be any place whenever it hits like full inflation like that realizes that, yeah, like what, you're trapped inside this prison now, this economic prison, and all the things you've been saving your entire life don't count for as much as anywhere even near as much as what you have. And that's why something like Bitcoin, that's why gold and silver or anything that has a value that you can hold outside of it. Like we've talked before on here about other things that you can have, not necessarily like traditional assets, but just things that hold their value. But Bitcoin, because it's so loose, and partly because it's designed that way, partly because I think they just haven't gotten a grasp on it yet. I don't think that the government is going to continue to kind of be this dumb about it. I fully believe that eventually they're going to start putting more leverage on people about paying taxes from everything, paying and pay more attention to that could come in like the next year. Like that's not even that far away. They'll just write the laws as they go, say fuck it. um but yeah, I guess I just didn't, I kind of liked the article first because I was like, oh yeah, good. But and then I was like, maybe I'm just kind of jealous of people whenever they get to make some money. um and maybe those guys aren't the worst possible thing that could happen. Like if your issue in your economy is that people are but like that, how, how are you going to stop that? Like don't sell that now. It's like what, why, what, leave them alone. And I get that you want to protect things, and I get, but I don't know, I don't even know how to convince people about this, but it is completely just a feeling. And we've talked before. I remember when I don't remember his fucking name at this point. Adam Meister. There we go. See, it wasn't that bad. Uh, if we get to that point, I don't really wait. Never mind. I don't know. I was just mentioning that Bitcoin. I completely slipped my mind what that was. Again, we're celebrating 7,000, just over. Bitcoin is now going to go to $300,000 for a half Bitcoin. See, I got you there, and everybody's going to get free money, and we're all going to be rich, and nobody's ever going to tell us that Bitcoin's a bubble again. Which I think if it does go to like 100,000, there's definitely going to be people like, yeah, but like, when are you going to sell it? um, okay, I was talking about inflation, and it was something that we talked to Adam Meister about. Uh, about feeling, not going with your feelings, like just trying to actually figure things out. And now the one leg is falling off of my microphone cord, but because I'm a professional, I'm going to continue. Um, they Not going with your feelings, and that is like the whole thing is just my feeling about it. It seems like people do better work and are more likely to succeed and try new things. And I think if anything, we just need people to try new stuff, because it seems like that speeds up innovation without, like, I mean, I don't know. That's the problem. I can't read any history without being like, yeah, but this is probably made up. So I don't know what the 20s were like. But it seems like most nowadays, a lot of like advancements are kind of just done with the military. No, that's always how it was. Never mind. Leave that alone. I'm kind of distracted trying to make sure I don't drop more pieces of this mic stand. Um, Again, you can get this at UME and btc.com/live. The reason why we're able to do this show, and then we also have 3 other shows, one with me. So if you don't hate this entire episode yet, normally I do like a half-hour episode talking about the news or whatever. I'll just rant about something. Zach Vol does a show called the Coin Pod normally on Tuesdays, does interviews very much like Bitcoin crypto centric. And we also have a unpopular opinions podcast. The guys, 2 guys just kind of like hang out, talk about a specific topic. I know they've in the past done like classic, I guess, like N64 video games, talking about that, talking about uh different stuff, but it's not about Bitcoin. If you get tired about listen to that. But the reason why we're able to bring you all of those is Chronologic, and that's, you can find them at chronologic.network, and it's an Ethereum based program, an Ethereum based project, I guess. I don't know. Where, again, what I was talking about before, no, I wasn't talking. This is the problem with doing. We're at episode 251, which is kind of just hitting me now, because at this point I'm just like, yeah, I remember talking about this, but then it was like weeks ago. Yeah, forget that anyway. But Chronologic, it's an Ethereum based thing, and it's looking at solving the problem of having to have a centralized ledger, centralized administrator of contracts, and working on making a decentralized way to just do that and kind of cut out the state, cut out at least their direct administration. They'd probably have some kind of, if we're being realistic, some kind of administrative, but their actual administration, if we can get them to at least allow that, then I think more people would do that, would eventually choose that. Possibly, at least, like, at least we can try. It can't really go bad. But check them out. It's at chronologic.network. Anyway, I'm just going to keep on. My voice kind of feels like it's going, but I'm not sure if that's because I'm a little bit drunk. I'm not sure. Sometimes that happens. It's from CCN. There's another article, and it's the billionaire investor says no one wants to buy Bitcoin, and the market shows otherwise. Pretty self-explanatory. Ken Griffin was quoted as saying, "I don't have a single portfolio manager of mine who has told me we should buy crypto, nor a single portfolio manager, not a single portfolio manager. I've had a hard time finding myself wanting to be in the position of being a liquidity provider to a product that I don't believe in. I still scratch my head about Bitcoin." Yeah, because all those other things are just so airtight. They're just great, aren't they, Griffin? But yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, that doesn't surprise me that they like certain ones don't. I'm sure certain guys are like, "No, fuck, this is going away. This isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna happen. This is bullshit." Because I am, I don't really feel like there's a whole lot of libertarian thought. That's the problem. Is I think libertarians get lumped in with like like these kind of capitalists where it's, well, I mean, it just depends on what you say, and it's this like it's this, and I get that it is probably what capitalism would evolve into. I just don't like it, and I don't know. I think socialists bitch about communism, so I think I should be allowed to bitch about this at least form of capitalism, which I would argue, and a lot of other people have, that it's due to corporations and it's due to an ability to lobby your competition away. So then the only thing that's left then is corporations. Um, so then things become just whoever can get people in office, I guess. So I don't particularly like them, but I understand if they're just like, no, it's not going to work, because they're probably already so invested in other things, and to them, they're probably thinking, or they're having other people tell them, just, oh no, it's just, yep, I had somebody say to me the other day, yeah, I think we've seen the bubble on Bitcoin. I was like, just like, which one? And they're like, what? I was like, it's what? It's happened so many times already, where Bitcoin is dead, Bitcoin is whatever, and you could, if anything, BTC. All right, somebody's going dark. I'm sorry, you guys distracted me in the chat. Um, Hello NY. Hello live BTC. Why are you going dark? What does that mean? I'm always creeped out sometimes by people's chats in there, and they're just like, "Yep, I'm going rogue right now." I was like, "Oh, don't do that. I don't want to come up on like a police thing where they're like he was chatting with him right before he did whatever you people do." Um, what was I saying? Fuck. Just about like, I understand, like they're already so invested in Bitcoin not being going above this. Like it's always like, oh, it went up 20,000, it dropped back down though. It's never going to get above that though, because if I think if they thought it was going to get above that, if they actually believed that it was going to at least double again, I think they would just go and do it. Like, I don't. These guys don't have particular scruples, or they don't have. They might just be. He might just be saying that to just reassure his clients. Like, it has nothing, maybe even to do with whether or not it's true or what happens, but he could just be trying to do good business. This has like no actual thing. Okay, you changed your name, so now you're impersonating somebody else now. Okay, I see. But no, hello again. How I don't know. So far I just haven't looked at my phone so that I don't maybe see Daniel bitching about me not using the right link, but I don't know, I'm pretty sure I'm doing it this time. But it doesn't matter. You guys found it anyway. That's all that really matters. I'll try to do my best, Daniel, where I'm just like, you guys are the best, and uh, um, I really love everybody. This is our most specialist guest ever. Tim, shut up. There, I need to actually do that more, where I just do Daniel's voice just to mock him, but then he'd probably end up just trying to mute me because he's a very petty person. Um, Yes, that was Ken Griffin. Then a former Goldman Sachs CEO, Lloyd Blankfein, echoed a similar sentiment, but stated that skeptics who believe Bitcoin as a consensus currency has no chance at all to compete with reserve currencies or fiat money are simply arrogant. So the other guy was at least like, I don't think it's going to do well, but it's stupid to think that they can't even come up on your radar. Which yeah, I guess I believe. Then the rest of the article talks about random people getting into it, which at this point I don't really care about. Um, but yeah, the whole point of the article, and see, I keep stepping on the fucking microphone leg now. It's annoying me. Daniel needs to get me a studio. Um, what's annoying where all this is concerned is people. Okay, people just kind of complain about things. People kind of just go, "Oh, no, Bitcoin's dumb. It's just stupid." And it's okay, but it's going up. Like even it's sat at 6,000, but it's still way more than it was before. I feel like I know I was saying this before in this episode now. Um, like if you just kind of sat your money in there, you could have done better than anyone you've ever known doing anything. Like this is like if you had done it at the beginning, I think your life is completely different compared to what would happen. Like you can't say that. I guess that doesn't equate to people necessarily wanting Bitcoin. It doesn't at all equate. But to argue against it being at least a financial asset and a financial boon if you did get in early on it, and that it's just going to drop and then everything's going to equal out because I don't know, they said that's how it happens. It gets hacked because the government's so good at hacking things. That's why they have to hire. I don't know. Maybe they are. Who knows? It seemed like the Russians were doing a little bit better. Um, Hello, Bitcoin. Are you going to send me Bitcoin coffee? Both of them? Um, yeah, no, we are okay. Yeah, 2 years to the next halving, or the halving. We never did make shirts. No, that was for the forking. I don't think we did. Maybe Zach did, and I just didn't notice. Maybe Zach made a fuck ton of money with we're forked shirts, but who knows? Well, probably Zach knows. Um, yeah, so I don't really care. This Bitcoin really isn't for them either. Bitcoin isn't for somebody who's established in the old way of doing something. They're they used to be bigger, they used to be newer, they used to be where they were the new thing, where they were kind of outside the rules. I think. Maybe not, but I would assume they were. And now they're looking like dinosaurs compared to just people sitting in their houses just day trading or just having bought like compared to like traditional money. I think is just gonna get like why wouldn't it just get wiped out? Like we're just gonna have paper money forever. We're just gonna have tokens. We're not gonna have any kind of like there's always an alternative. No matter what happens in prohibition, if you're not allowed to have something, somebody always eventually gets that. Somebody just provides it. You just cause the price to go up. So that's exactly what's happening. No, that's probably not. I was about to say that's what happened with Bitcoin because I felt like that sounded right, but I can't lie that bad. um, but I mean, mostly I would think that the price is going up just because it's technology that people want. But as soon as you start to crack down on it more, it's just going to make the price go up. So then the people who are already invested in it want it, and the people who got left out go, "Hey, I could have done that." So they at least don't like you, and they don't like the idea that that can be turned around though because then they can just say, "Well, go get those people that made all that money on Bitcoin." Um, we definitely covered this before. I actually just want to ask the chat because then I'm gonna have to start like searching around and just completely making up shit. Um, does anybody know anything more about the Bitcoin neck director's wife? Like the She's been missing for a while, and they're suspecting murder now. We even talked about this last week, but I tried looking it up, and surprisingly, typing in Bitcoin kidnapping wife doesn't come up with a lot of things. The first thing it actually comes up with is an article about how to hide your money in a divorce in Bitcoin. And then I was like, wait, what? I'm confused as to what's going on. I think it was like a Reddit post or something, but apparently typing in that doesn't really narrow it down. Apparently there have been a decent amount of kidnappings for it. I mean, I guess we did have that guy on the show a while ago who got mugged for it. But if anybody knows anything more about what happened with that, which I'd imagine most of you don't have any kind of like an inside thing on the Bitcoin guy's wife and what's happening with her, but if you do, if somebody who, whether you like, I'll sympathize if you did it because they stole a bunch of money from you. Just tell me, let me give out that story. Like, we'll get you on the show. We can switch your voice around or whatever. As long as you come on the show and kind of like give us the rights to the story, you can say whatever you want. But if you are listening, um, if you're not, I don't really know how this helps anything because most people probably aren't going to know. I did also notice where I kind of like this. I like this just because of how I draw. There we go. I like this just because of how the the absurdity of some of the stuff on Twitter is annoying and is kind of just like childish, but that's almost what makes it great. It's not almost what makes it is what makes it great. But Daniel B reposted this. I'm not sure how these reposting things works either necessarily. Um, because it's not reposting, they're doing like screenshots of it. I don't know if that's like to get more likes for you, but it's from Daniel B. I don't mean to shit on you that much, but it's from Daniel B. And it's Crypto Dog at Crypto Dog or at the Crypto Dog. I'm sorry, where there's a senator who, right, senator, representative, Democrat in California, Brad Sherman, and he's the guy who went hard on Bitcoin about being it's only useful for deceptive and illegal financial activity. And yes, that's exactly why we want it, because you just want to take everybody's money. Yet his top campaign, I'm sorry, um, that's why they want it, is so that they can, like, that's the prop, like, yeah, that's, you just want to kind of like lock down on what is legal or not so you can just tax more stuff. um Yet Brad Sherman's top campaign donation came from a company that had to forfeit 13.3 million to the US government for facilitating illegal gambling. um and it's like the same thing with fuck, what was the guy who was saying that he couldn't recommend Bitcoin to the people that he worked for because he didn't believe in it. It's like, yes, you can. That's what you do all the time. That's your job. Like, I get that, and I spend too much time like clarifying things. So fuck that. Fuck you. Anyway, um, but your job is to kind of lie, and that's like a lot of jobs are just to look like you're doing something. I don't think that's just. Uh, I don't think that's just on the political side either. I think there's a lot of jobs where people, like, half the job is just seeming like you're busy or seem like you're doing something. Um, but yeah, back to my point. The cool thing about Twitter, the cool thing about the time we're living in, is that senators or representatives can just be on Twitter. They have Twitter accounts, and they can just get harassed on Twitter, like, not even harassed in a dangerous way, which, whatever. Like, I have no particular, like, if you're a public figure like that, you're open to that. That's why I hate the laws where they're like you can't. I think there are some states where you can't film the police without telling them. It's like no, you're in a public space. You're a public servant. Even if you weren't a public servant, you're a public worker. So yeah, I can do whatever. And so I there's a fucking guy. It's the crypto dog, and I don't know. Follow him. He is just a Labrador with sunglasses on, and he's just posting stuff about how this guy is connected to whatever this company is, Allied Wallet, which just sounds like a kind of a creepy website. Um, and he's associated with them, and then he sends them a direct message to just stop. I don't even need the direct message to stop. As long as you're just harassing the people, it's nice to see that they noticed. But as long as you're kind of mocking them, and like there's just people with avies of dogs just going like, "Hey, yeah, but like you took a lot of money from these guys, and they just fucking had to they just got fined, and then yet you want to blame Bitcoin over here about things." So that's I think where I guess what we should do, like do the whole thing, do the taking your money out of the uh like taking your money out of if you don't like it. That's all I can like if you don't have a problem with it, if you don't have a problem with certain things, I get that too. Like it's easier just to uh like it's a problem to just have to worry about it. Like it's not doesn't make my life better just to worry about it. But if you don't have a problem with whatever the government like, then I'd say just get into Bitcoin for the money. I'd still say get Bitcoin. But if you do have an issue, and this is with a lot of older people I know, where they're like, yeah, I'm now like I wish I could and I didn't have to support this, but I have to. I'm like, no, you don't. You have to like look at a video for 5 minutes. Like, well, I can't understand that. And it's like you don't even fucking try. And yeah, if you do have a problem, like if you wherever you are on the political spectrum and you don't like something that the government does, get out of their money system. Like it's the most peaceful, it's the most useful. Like if all of us did that, that's the thing about same thing with voting, where it's like well, if all of us just did it, it'd work out fine. It'd still be fucked up because it still has issues, but at least then people wouldn't it wouldn't be like 41% of people voting for one side or the other. Um like total, like it's not even 50% of the people voting. But as long as we have all that, like the best thing we can do is take your money out, take whether that's whatever it is, into some kind of asset that's going to hold the value better for your sake. And then also if you do have an issue, that's something you can do. You can kind of like surrender your money and just say, well, I'm going to have it a little bit more inconvenient. I'm not going to have it as liquid necessarily, depending on what I want to use it for. And then you can be free of at least worrying about some of your money contributing to something you don't agree with. Because if you're going to make a big thing about it, then you might as well, like it's a pretty simple thing to do. So maybe that's the advice. I don't really know. Like I feel like yeah, besides the money, if we just kind of mock things, like taking away the legitimacy of something does a lot more than it does a lot more than I think people give it credit for. Like delegitimizing something in somebody's mind can at least be the step towards kind of breaking whatever kind of hold, because most people whenever they do think of a lot of issues, whenever they do think a lot of like whether it's political affiliations, whatever it is, if they do care. Now again, seems like most people didn't vote, so most people don't give a shit. But the people who do, and I'm sure the people who don't give a shit do have other things they like a lot, but their likes and their interests become part of who like they look, and I do too. but your interests and your likes and what you believe in become a part of yourself to where now I again like I hate using I hate um I hate referencing like science papers because I never can find them and I don't really try because it could just be one dumb experiment. But whenever you have an idea in your head attacked, it was from one of these articles where like, yep, no, Christians are dumb because they get angry when you talk about God. I'm like, you guys all get angry when I talk about like why the government's dumb. Like, well, but we need it. It's the same thing with God. Like, they're not like most Christians aren't at this point. Like, because I a giant part of my upbringing was that, and that's like what most of my family is. It's like they're not even at the point of like we need to take control of things. They're just like, yeah, but isn't life better having a God? Is it, yeah, but isn't life better having a government? Like how could you live in a life without that? That's the exact same thing whenever people look at something like getting rid of it is impossible, where I'm not saying it's perfect, and I feel like Daniel and I have had that exact same conversation the last 4 episodes, but it's not perfect, but it's at least something that we haven't tried. And in the past, if any kind of historical data is to be believed, whenever you give free like individual freedom more so than like more so than freedom of the government to do things, um you see an expansion in ideas uh and developments, and I don't even know what like not inventions but like capital, eh, because you allow people to do things and you leave less restrictions. You don't make it a burden to run a business. Like, we treat business owners in this country kind of shitty, and then we're normally awful customers. Like, they give us 100% get, like, think about that. You can go just like you can go to Lowe's. You can go to Lowe's, get a lawnmower, cut for like 3 weeks. They give you like 6 months of where they're like, yeah, we'll replace it, no questions asked. You just have to say it's bad. And then we go, these corporations, these companies, they're just terrible. All their prices are terrible. Like, yeah, because you could return anything. Like, if no, that's not a law thing, but as far as the like people, and this comes up in movies a lot, where business and the government are always together, but then business is the one like pulling the strings on government. Is like, here, do this, do this. And it's like, yeah, kind of like they're donating money, but like their power, like the businesses are definitely below the government as far as what they can do to you. Like, they can still fuck with you, but you do still have a choice as to whether you have to if you have to subscribe to their content, which is something you should do to us. Go to youmeandbtc.com/live to subscribe. Check us out live, not every 9 p.m. Eastern here at us. You can get in the chat. There was somebody's changing identities. There's somebody's throwing coffee at everybody, and it'll be great. I don't know if it's hot. It's gonna fucking burn people. That was terrible. I guess I'll take another drink. I don't know. Ugh. But yeah, the whole, what is this? 5 reasons why Bitcoin is crashing now. Never mind. That's back from June. That's some random one. Um, I think it's good overall to have a I guess a disrespect of authority. Like, because have a disrespect for authority, but like as I've said with other things, when you're involved with authority, don't question it, but don't internalize the whole idea, because it's one thing to have a tyrannical government, to have a government that tells you what to do and tells you how to think and tells you. It's another thing to have one where instead of them infiltrating like that kind of life where they just get everybody to go, yeah, I mean, this is like the best thing. Like, why would like you want people to be able to do weird things on computers? Like, how dare you? Why would you like you don't have anything to hide, do you? And it's what kind of an argument? Like, I'm just a criminal now and I deserve to be treated as such because somebody else might do something and we have to because yeah, because as soon as the government gets involved with policing things, they always go away. So that's I guess part of the weekly advice too, because Daniel likes me to do that. Other weekly advice: check out Chronologic dot network. I don't know. Somebody check them out and then tell me about them in the chat because I haven't used them, but that's because I haven't touched most things. Like I haven't bought Bitcoin for a while, which now I'm kind of regretting because I could have made $1,000. But yeah, mock mock the if you don't like something, take your money out of it and mock it, and then I don't know what else to do with your life. Like just do that. That seems like a pretty good life. Just hoard Bitcoin and shit post on Twitter. Like that seems like the best life. Like it's kind of nice to do a podcast and it's kind of nice to but you can get drunk and just tweet. Like if I could do this without having to show my face, I'd feel so much more comfortable. Now I actually don't really mind this. It's actually a lot more comfortable too now that I'm not using the stand. Now that I decided to break it and throw pieces of it everywhere, that's a little inside thing because the fucking thing doesn't stay tight. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Come around next week. I'll have a show out on Monday. I'm not sure what about yet. I'll try to have a little bit more. I had a little bit of convoluted one last week. Zach should have one out Tuesday, and then look for another episode from the Unpopular Opinions. You can get me at Baker's Dozen 93. You can get Zach at Zach Vol, ZACK or ZACHVOELL, and you can get Daniel at youmebtc.com or I'm sorry, at youmebtc, not whatever the fuck I said. Get us every week, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know how Daniel finishes up the last two minutes because I don't want to start ranting again. Although I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I guess just buy Bitcoin. Like I don't see anything really bad with it. If there is something bad with it, we'll all go down together and at least be fun. Like at least it'll make your life interesting. And I think that is important, especially in this day and age where everything kind of like I was saying, you can just return anything. If your money gets stolen from the bank, like how boring is that life? Why not have your money in something where you can just be like, yeah, some dude just stole it from me and now he's using it to buy Chinese parts of computers and like what do you like? That's actually interesting. If you want to have an interesting life, get involved with, not to say that you have to, you can have a boring life and get Bitcoin too. Just take it and hold it. But unless you just get hacked then. But if you take it and you use Bitcoin, you interact with other people using Bitcoin, you are building on like cryptocurrency has to happen. So every single new transaction is one more way for us to learn how to do this shit better. So if you're going to have it, if you're going to support something like this, use it and get involved with the people around you, get involved with the other people who use it, get involved with the people who try to expand it, who try to give a good representation. This, yes, very, very coincidentally, I entirely promise, happens to do with us too. But anybody who amplifies like a good representation of Bitcoin should be encouraged, if nothing else. And it should be used. We need to use things like that's how everything gets better is we use things. A lot of people get messed up and then we figure it out, we change things, or we go, okay, well, we need this for Bitcoin now, or we need this for Bitcoin. Like it gives us, regardless of how things go, regardless of all this bullshit about totalitarianism versus libertarianism and nationalism versus fucking global or whatever the fucking everybody's arguing about. If we can, I don't know. Fuck. This is the issue. If I drink, like I wanted to celebrate, I wanted to try to do something fun, but and then I drank this, and now nothing computes in my head right now. I'm kind of just staring at things. This isn't good. I need to drink more. Shit. What the fuck was I talking about? I don't even remember. But anyway, regardless, if you're gonna just buy Bitcoin, get involved with it. It's interesting, and if you can, if you want an interesting life, if you want to have cool stories about stuff, you can do that very easily by just having crypto and going and talking to people. Okay, and that's what I was talking about just like building a community, because we're going to be the the past of something. Every single transaction is the building block somehow. Like, it's a little bit melodramatic, but it is true, where every single stepping stone along the way is just as important as the ones that we remember, because they do lead to something. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm Tim. I don't know if I should tell you my name after this. I'll be doing a show on Monday. Check us out. Send us money. Tell Daniel to give all his money to me. If you say you're Jesus, he'll listen to you. Thanks, guys. Everybody, have a good week. And hoard your Bitcoin. Get out of fiat if you want to, I guess. Resist.